Hi, this is Bifflecup with the Triheart podcast. Today we got, for episode 11, producer and musician and artist Mark Cooper.
Pleasure. How are you guys?
Let's get the record straight. I'm so suited to be mobile. I go Gundam, RX-78. So your mind will great the way I'm so coordinated. A harder drive that's better than being solid stated. So save it, count the chips like memory card. I'm better made, you better lay in the graveyard. That's where the losers are. For the Kareem, I do Jabbar, make a dirty dozen look bizarre. I transform, let's backtrack. Bring the beast horse, these cheap swords, and put them in a rat trap. Roll along from Dinobot to tarantulas. I feel stomach the pain from the pancreas. You complain a bit, so when you ring the bell, don't count on Zach Morris throwing the towel and saving it. Cause if he dies inside Drago. Order another robot with manuals to follow.
The system tries to override what I assembled in 3 years' time. It crossed my mind. We have one life. We fuel our missions. It's time to drive. It's time to drive. We fuel our missions. It's time to drive. It crossed my mind. We have one life. We fuel our missions. It's time.
Now let me get a second and unravel the plan. My brand's on kill mode. Welcome to Itchy Scratchy Land. From the rumbles in the Bronx like Jackie Chan to the formula constantly drinking all the water fam. Got smoke, you better stop like a telegram. Flow cold, beat hot, walking Venn diagram. Who is you lying fam? Awake a sleeping dragon. You feel a brawl as a blaze across the motherland. I form the head of Voltron, you feel the knot. Followed by a star formation like a tire rod. I am the motion right around the dirt clod and make them wanna dip and dive to the escape pods. Listen, I was built as a prodigy, type of elements turning the tables periodically. If honesty's the best policy, I'm on the top of my words from the asterisks to the apostrophes.
Voltron, hold on. Autobots, hold on. Megazords, hold on. Zordon, hold on. The system tries to override what I assembled in 3 years' time. We crossed my mind. We have one life. We fuel our missions. It's time to drive.
Good luck, player one, and may the power protect you.
6 loves.
Normally I'm by myself, but we actually got our rapper in the Triheart group, Chris.
Hey, I'm pretty excited to be here with you, Mark.
Pleasure, man. No problem.
Had to jump on for this one.
So, Mark Cooper, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, been doing music for about 15 years. I started in high school back in 2004. Same high school as Mike Posner. That's a fun fact.
Nice.
Wow.
Been playing for about 15 years. Started off recording myself with a PS2 microphone for one of the video games called Bring on the Mic. It was like the one with Jadakiss on it. So I started with a USB microphone, plugged it in with some Cubase LE. Didn't really know what I was doing. Then it just turned into a passion. And then years later, went from recording at studios and making my own beats and things like that. And you know, here I am today.
Let's start with some foundation stuff. Yeah, tell us a little bit about your newest album and Test Drive.
Well, Test Drive is part 3 of my album series because it starts with I Am Player One, the Allspark. Long story short, I'm stuck in a game that's called Nerdcore, if it makes sense. So you can see that I made a whole album around being put into a boxed or a fixed genre because my enemy is named Major Label. So what I did with Test Drive is that I wanted to, is going from one place to another, and I wanted to go into different, genre bending. So I got into 80s and synthwave and things like that, because I've always been a fan of those. Like, I'm a fan of the Daft Punks and the 80s action movie type things like that, Drive, Kavinsky, all those people. Yeah, that's what I'm really inspired by. So that's what that album came about.
So it kind of seemed like throughout the album there was like, you would kind of hit it just then, like there was this overarching story. So what is like, is there a narrative to Test Drive?
Yeah, there's an actual narrative that connects them all. I Am Player One is like, I literally get to try the video game, basically try the genre out, and I get stuck in it because they put me in you rap like this, so you're
right.
in this particular. And then I have an AI that basically says, hey, I can get you out of the game. We just got to try different things, and that's why I demo trying different kinds of styles of nerddom rap, other than the typical things that you do. And then you could see I have the Nintendo Power Glove. I call that the All-Spark because that's all included, just like that's what the word actually means. So why not cliche and have the voice of Optimus Prime and Goku and then make it really fun like that? So that's what the All-Spark is, why I explain, where the glove works and how to get out of the game. And then afterwards, I'm at Test Drive where I'm driving with Fluff the Phantom Focus to go to Gerald's Field because I need the left-handed Power Glove. Because it doesn't exist. Nintendo never made a left-handed Power Glove. And I'm left-handed. To be able to complete and defeat the game is to find the other glove. And that's what Test Drive was about.
That's a sick concept.
So it feels like you're saying, what I'm hearing from you is like, you're trying to not be pigeonholed as like a nerd rapper or kind of like that, kind of on that vein.
Right.
And you're trying to like get out of that trope. Can you tell us more about your experience with that and how you put that into the album?
Well, my experience with that is that we have a lot of situations where it comes to hip hop or where it comes to any kind of genre, and they'll say, oh, you sound like this person. So now they basically made an algorithm as in, okay, your audience is just going to be these people. And we're just going to pretty much separate you from everything else.
Right.
But the thing is about it is that there are a lot of different kinds of nerd artists. So I'm more the nostalgic type. Like the stuff I, rap about is like from Toys R Us to Nickelodeon, Disney, things like that. But a lot of the nerd artists that are now are rapping about is heavily mainstream, like anime and cartoons and things like that. And that's no problem with it at all. But it's trying to say, okay, now there's a whole cesspool, a whole body of a whole bunch of nerds and things like that do music. What makes you different? What makes you stand out a little bit versus somebody else? So that's what the album concept is about. Why not make a concept of the concept that you're in right now? Because you're living what you rap about. You know what I mean?
So if I came at you and I was like, oh, Mark Cooper, I love you. You're just like Mega Ran. Like, what would you say to me?
Well, I've had that comparisons before, and Mega Ran's a great guy, man.
Oh, he's the best.
He's one of the people I actually found out that nerdcore actually existed from when I seen him perform. But I was doing it with Halo raps back in 2009, but I didn't know about any kind of niche about it at all. I was just just a rapper from Detroit, and being a nerd is not necessarily the most praised upon. So it could be a very discouraging thing, like if you're with M and Royce and D12 and all those guys, like, look, you got to rap this way or aggressive, or we're just not going to listen to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's something that you had to, fight the stigma of. But at the same time, you had to be a good rapper. So with a lot of nerdcore and stuff, there are rappers in nerdcore that are not necessarily bar heavy or heavy in hip hop. They just kind of, using the music to express how they feel, and that's fine. But there are also individuals who literally can rap, but they pick those topics because they feel strong about them, like MF Doom and Childish Gambino and, and those kind of guys. So there's always a side for each one of them. So that's the thing to look at it. But when they tell me that, I'm like, it's a compliment. He's a great artist.
Yeah.
So I like that. But when they listen to music afterwards, they'll be like, yeah, you remind me of Ran, because that's normally the first hip hop artist really big that they notice first time they get into nerdcore.
Right.
If it's not him, it's MC Lars, or MC Chris is a very popular one. A lot of people refer with nerdcore.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's just a matter of what they're familiar with. Nerdcore is kind of a very niche genre. So when it's niche, it's easier to say, hey, you remind me of this. Hey, you remind me of that, because that's the only things that include them in what it is.
Here, I'll just push you one more. So, like, if I was like, Mark Cooper, like, what is the difference between you and MC Chris? What would you get me?
The voice. So I'm just
The voice. Yeah, no, that's true. That's absolutely true.
No. I'm being, the difference between me and MC Chris is that MC Chris he has a whole skit and story and things like that, and there's the similarities there. But me personally, I would say the difference is that his stories are relatable to any kind of nerd that's following him from Aqua Teen Hunger Force and been following he has a cult following.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes in. With me, I'm just an artist that's like a hip hop artist that talks about a lot of nostalgia. Like, hey, I remember this. Hey, I remember that. And the thing is, I make my own beats too. So my personality goes into the production as well. Yeah. So that's what be our differences. And it could be the topics we talk about. He's a little bit more vulgar than I am, which is not a big deal at all. But when it comes to those comparisons, that's the difference. That's some of the difference. And the way that we rap about things are different too.
I don't wanna grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us I'll never forget. From the bikes and the trains to the video games, it's the greatest store that ever exists in my life.
A eulogy to be had for the memory of Jeffrey the giraffe. I remember from the color-plated tiles to the writing on the glass, thinking about the nostalgia I would have. I'm starting with the past, the era where games came with a ticket. No warehouse man had to go get it. Before every visit, Sunday papers, I known to glance and look to find every toy I ever wanted in the book. From the puppy bikes, the super soakers and soccer boppers, the air hog remote control with helicopters, mother and father back and forth with teeter-totters. I do the noodle dance like PB&J Otter. Back when life wasn't so complex, my action figures fit perfectly in my toy chest. To think my childhood could be at risk if Toys R Us never even exists, man, I would be pissed.
I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us I'll never forget. From the bikes and the trains to the video games, it's the greatest store that ever exists in my life. In my life. In my
I've seen the KBs, I walk in the children's palace. They couldn't reach the balance of the Toys R Us malice, cause when profit was involved, they maneuvered the claws. Big book was Santa Claus, parents' files were solved. Yeah, remember back I ride bikes in the aisle as a child. It was like putting the brand like Fisher Price. Lights were bright, I pinned them on the cathedrals. I've been on that tip since we had balance and eagles. I was raised in the 90s, but born in the 80s. Seen the rise of Pokemon to the fall of the Beanie Babies. Had Leapfrog, VTech, and hooked on phonics, but we decided to skip it like Tiger Electronics. Yo, I don't even know where I'm to begin. You're in your 70s, what a history it has been. If I never did the things that I did, I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't be a Toys R Us kid for real.
I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us I'll never forget. From the bikes and the trains to the video games, it's the greatest store that ever exists in my
You had mentioned Detroit, and I've never stepped foot in Detroit, but I know Motown, I know 8 Mile, I know Eminem, and I know it's like an industry-focused U.S. city, and I know it's a music-focused U.S. city. Tell us a little bit about your Detroit identity and how that goes into the Mark Cooper product.
See, the thing is, what's funny is that they know me as the producer, Mark Cooper, because I've done a lot of producer battles. So I've like won a lot of those in the city, and literally travel from across the U.S. to battle. So it's like a rap battle, but with beats.
Right.
So I've been in a lot of competitions like that for the past 8-10 years. So a lot of people know me for that aspect. But they knew I could rap, but they were kind of like, you can rap, but I really like the beats. The beats is fired, things like that. So when I said, okay, I'm going to go into the nerd stuff, and it was like, I don't know about that one, man. I don't know if you can really do it. And I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. So when I got my first debut, I performed at a con, which is UmaCon, which is Detroit, Michigan, like biggest con. So I got a chance to perform that, and then got onto other bills and shows. And then last year I was able to go on tour with cons for the first time.
Wow.
So once people were really looking at, what I've been doing, they were like, Mark, you really found a lane with this. And I really like the way that you do that. And then now it looks like it's becoming more and more accepted because there's more Detroit artists kind of incorporating a little nerd culture and, things of that nature. They're starting to be more open to it. And then their younger kids are feeling more open to it because now that nerddom is almost a trend. I don't want to say that to be, politically correct, but it is turned into a trend where it's the new in. So now people feel more comfortable doing that kind of music. But when it came to Detroit, it was just me and Novelist, and then maybe a couple others that's tipped back and forth, like Crimson Alchemist and things like that.
I think I saw like a Pokemon cipher from UmaCon.
Yep, I think so. Yeah, it was like a full cipher setup. I was in that video for 2017, I believe, with me and this guy named Yakuza Moon.
That's pretty cool. Who shoots the videos?
Sometimes it'd be individuals that are like in the hip hop culture, things like that. Some are like, secret Gundam nerds, and then they shoot a video of it and be part of the con conventions and things like that. So that's usually where it usually comes.
I was kind of hearing from you, like, it seemed like trying to find your lane in Detroit. It was kind of like a journey, like an adventure. What's more like of an in-depth idea of like some of the discourse that you had to get through?
Oh, the discourse? Basically rapping and nobody knows what you're talking about. like that's one thing with it, because I see a lot of nerdcore, like really, when they get into it, they really get into it. So there'll be some that will do, like at first, like earlier, it was like the Star Wars and the Star Trek references and things like that. And it's like, you get it or you don't. But nowadays, it's like, it's heavy anime now. So if you don't know that anime well enough, then you'll be kind of lost, especially at a show. So the things I had to learn to diverge from that is rap the references somebody will know what I'm talking about, but keep the topic of what it is. Like one of my popular songs I perform is Sideshow Bob, and that's all Simpson rap.
Right.
A lot of people really get that. It's got a really dope beat. Make sure you got a dope voice for it, good verses and things like that, and it works out. So that's how I was able to diverge both of those, is combine it as in somebody can actually relate with me. And then that's why I wanted to dip into the nostalgia value of nerdcore. Like, I didn't want to make it just seem like all I did was video games, all I did was anime, all I did was, pop references and stuff like that. Because eventually, when you'll get aged out after that. You know what I mean? 2025 might not know who Steve Urkel is.
Good point, yeah.
And then also, people don't know Steve Urkel. Jaleel White voiced Sonic the Hedgehog in the cartoon.
Yeah,
people
he did.
Know
that was a great cartoon.
You know what I mean? It's just that kind of references. So
that's deep. That's a deep
way. Then
yeah. If you dropped his name, some people might not be. They might know he was Stefan.
Oh yeah. We find ourselves with our music, like sometimes we have to like compromise and like cater to our audience with like our sound. Like, it's important to write music for yourself, but also you need to like find a sound that's like marketable. So it sounded like you were saying that you had to compromise some of your content so that people could identify with it. If you like didn't have that restriction, Like if it was just like Mark Cooper was performing for Mark Cooper, how would that go? Like what would you rap about?
You know, to be frank, it'd be the same.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why. Because the thing is about nerddom, and when you're writing it, like there's one thing that a lot of people kind of, Rand coined the term, I believe. It's called Wikipedia raps. And it's an individual who finds a topic, let's say they want to rap about Ninja Turtles, right? They will study the whole discography of, Wikipedia Ninja Turtles, and then they'll rap and be like, yeah, Master Splinter was the person I was with, and that's Donatello with Raphael and everybody's fitting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they'll do something like that, but I don't feel anything. I just feel like you just told me the story I already know.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is basically the same thing as I got money, I do, I sell dope, I got girls in the car. And that's pretty much the same. It's like a Wikipedia rap in itself. But that's the thing about when it comes to like nerdcore and things like that, you just gotta, you gotta find something that you're really passionate about. Normally, like for example, for me, I'm passionate about Saturday morning cartoons to the point that I even made beat tapes after. Like I have 4 volumes. I've been doing this since 2015. Not because I wanted to show the beatability. It's the things I grew up with. It's the things I do. And I feel that if it's something that you naturally know or something you grew up with, you'll be able to have a deeper particular lyric value with an audience versus, just rapping about anything. Like a lot of nerds can tell the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could be like, Mega Man, Cut Man, Guts Man, Fireman, right? But they won't be like, I'm colder than Iceman on level 3 with you get what I mean? So then it'll be something like that,
Do you think there's like a science to that sixth sense of like authenticity? Like what goes into being able to recognize authenticity?
Well, you just would, you could just tell off value. Like sometimes rappers will just rap certain things and you'll just know that they're not feeling it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're just doing that. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Because you still get the point. There's still a point with it. But if I see a performance and then I'm like for example, if we were talking about Mega Man, if I'm a huge Mega Man fan, right? And his things, his whole stigma is Mega Man with the Mega Cannon and things like that. And then he raps about it and it sounds like, oh, okay, he just explained Dr. Wily and Dr. Light and it just read, just put random lyrics together. Then I just wouldn't be touched. I'd be like, it was dope, but I don't feel it. And then on top of that, it feels like you never played the game. And that's a really awkward feeling. You know what I mean? Like then you walk up to him and be like, hey man, my favorite is 2. What's your favorite? I like all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what? Being authentic when it comes to nerd stuff or whatever is highly with me, especially with listening. Like even if the rapper isn't like ridiculously skilled, if I feel that he's, there's a reference or a connection with it, I feel that.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be about.
Yeah. Yo, spit Saturdays thinking out of the box. 2 years after my pops made the schoolhouse rock. That's that era of street sharks, wackos that dot yackos, bringing thunder to these cast doses, battle toads with tadpoles. Since the Muppets was babies and a mania to act. Let's just reboot it back. Nightmares and dreams where every scene a mystery machine is full of Scooby snacks. The mind was mighty morphin' Power Rangers never matched. You tiny tuning all your moves capped like Mighty Max. Might be Mighty Mouse minus 1 defining fact. All your powers combined and you ain't got the heart. The spotlight Pikachu and you ain't got the spark. In the land of the lost that can't find your way back. Now you dealing with real monsters, not some Cadillac cats or Rugrats. Splat, the order to draw that make them tick. Who you kidding? Play with these pro stars and make the switch. Shells in your back for a piece of the pie, their favorite dish. While you was sitting with cinnamon toast crunch and soggy tricks. So many DuckTales don't know what to believe. So don't spend your whole Saturday in front of that screen. That's word up.
Rise and shine, I'm Star Trek into the Enterprise. So the next generation knows clearly who to idolize. Oh, it's cartoons, I apologize. You can ask Bill Nye. I got nostalgic vibes to the science guy. What I provide's above 90s Ninja Turtle talk. 80s put you in a suit of metal like a silver hawk. That's what you thought. Johnny Quest come with a price. It will be the last time you ask Haji for advice. Boy, bonkers on the mic. Cat needs the advice. I'm so fly that I can swat cats with an airstrike. I'm about this life for real. I've been screaming like Dexter's dad, plucking peel to envelope the electric bill. Such a skill like SpongeBob with the anchovies, flying Dutchman and bubble baths, you don't even know me. I'm proud family and it's good to say, behind any pretty penny there's a sticky that's stuck with Dijonay. Either way, it's when a girl, when I ricochet, they all go flee. The luchadors anyway. You better pray for the friendships in the world. I'll feed the cow to the chicken and watching the Fleming Earl. I'm by a different code. Life's so short, man. He had heat and cold in the same episode. Gerald played the role cause the kid is bold to have him told a mating call like he was looking for nematodes. Super old like Duck Dodgers and Marvin Martian. Begging pardons and putting lumps right on the noggin. I run this, you jogging. I bring the eye to the real monsters very often, so stop the talking. I draw a line for the characters of these Yondos. Think they doing something, but I own them like Inglamo.
I like life light, easy like Sunday morning. But give me Saturday morning cartoons and I'm all in. Going into adolescence, thinking that you mad depressing. When I'm watching Mask, I can cover up my sad reflections. I'm past aggressive in the concrete, a street shark. Swimming in the deep end, moving like a hedgehog. Sonic boom, but your pen tiny like tunes. Ain't no recess in my dungeon, my dragon fire kaboom. And your desire is doom. Can't rely on your super friends. Squash you like a beetle, cause I got the juice to truly end life on a cosmic level. If you tick me off, head captain and the game master with plenty sauce. From campfire connection, you camp candy. And all my ladies colder than your Pepper and Auntie. You just a little in the land of the lost. Can't find you like Carmen Sandiego is off. Cause my Draco will cough, turn you to a Ghostbuster. And a maniac will make you dash, Roadrunner. A pro star even in a cold summer. A single Voltron, Ironhide and foe runners. And I don't need an Autobot to transform you. I got weapon X-Men dropping all corners. Sephiroth with the dark wing make you duck. No millennium items, you still praising the luck. I'm more Jackie Chan, they relate you to Doug. Electrifying like Raichu when they gave me the plug. And they paid me a slug to kill you with the hammer, man. This is my world like Bobby, I'm the master plan.
With
one term that like I'm in this music business class right now, and one term that we kind of looked at was something called proper perspective. So that's like, you know, an example would just be like knowing if like you just started a band, it's pretty unlikely you're going to get famous right away. Right. So, and so when I was researching you, not that like you were saying 14 years, I've gone through your 2011 content that's out there. So I know you've been around for a little while. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the proper perspective and what you understand, like, yeah, making it this far.
It takes a lot of work. And it's not like I have, you know, a lot of people will be like, well, you came with like 4 albums or something like that. I mean, you know, hard work pays off. The next beat tape I release on the 10th will be my 44th project completed.
Damn.
That I've ever released and things like that when it comes to beat tapes and projects and things of that nature. And that's not including the features and the projects I fully, you know, produced.
Yeah.
And the thing is about when it comes to that, it's just understanding that, you know, the harder you work and the more consistent you have, you know, the better value actually comes into it. And then on top of that, you got to love what you do. If it gets to a particular situation that you're just kind of doing it to be famous or you're doing it to get to this particular status quo or whatever, you could be in this for the wrong reason. And the funny thing is, even no matter how well your marketing is or your algorithm is, people know if you really do it because you love to do it or you don't, because they're people too. They're not just machines that, hear projects and then they automatically become fans. No, something has to make a connection with that person that's listening to you. I'd rather have, 5,000 fans that are completely loyal than have 100,000 followers that really only care if I post something they're even interested in, or they just want to stroll and like, because it doesn't do anything for you at the end of the day.
Right.
It's easier to keep in touch with those long-lived fans, because then they got a moment as in, wow, he actually does a lot of really dope stuff, but he stops in and says hello to me. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes people want to just be said hello to, or how their day was, or they want to, you to check out what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, you started at their spot too. What makes you different?
What would you say is like the difference between like 2007 or 2011 Mark Cooper and 2020 Mark Cooper?
2009, 2011 me was just starting out. I was learning about, I was a lot bigger too, like a lot bigger. I was probably like 275 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And, life-threatening sleep apnea stuff, so I couldn't breathe. So it's like really, really heavy back then. Then found out I was type 2.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So it was a lot of stuff. It was really just learning about myself and certain things to rap about. And the funny thing, in 2009, the first person to ever tell me I was whack was not kids. It was my mom.
Wow.
So she told me, she was like, yeah, this isn't the thing or whatever. She's like, okay, I know you're not going to quit this music thing or whatever, but can you do one thing for me? I was like, what? She was like, can you go through an album without swearing more than 3 times?
Nice.
Wow.
So I said, yeah, sure, I could do that. And what I did is I took a dictionary, and I just, how back in the day we used to spin the globe and then put your finger out wherever it is. Yeah. I did that with a dictionary.
Nice.
And I did that for 500 words. Once I got 500 words, I found 4 words that rhyme with that same word but make sense. So once I learned those concepts and studied the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, sound measures, so I could be able to rap on any kind of beat as long as I could find the 4 count. So I learned the foundation and the technical stuff before I started rapping and things like that. That's why I was able to come up with the different ways to say things and things of that nature. So I did a lot of practice with that. So that was in my practicing phases. And by the time I got to 2015, 2016, I was getting it. So I was kind of blessed that I stopped, a little bit and didn't know about nerdcore until then, because who knows, I could have been in this, but I would have never learned the necessary skills to get where I am for 2020. So
is all your music curse free?
Yep.
Oh, dope.
All the Player One stuff series is completely like that.
Oh, awesome. That's
and what's funny is it's considered a children's album. I was kind of shocked about that. I was like, a little story, no swearing in it, nothing negative.
Yeah, our EP is also swear free, and
yeah,
I know that's like a thing Method Man does. I think like ever since a certain point, he just decided.
It's not worth it. And then it gets to the point that it's actually hard for me to fit profanity in it. So many different words I could use. You know what I mean?
I know that from my perspective, like, because I have done more vulgar stuff back in the day, but when we started doing this, like, we were doing more cons, and you would just see kids there, and I'd be like, wow, I can't swear in front of these kids.
Yeah, true.
So is it just like your mom that kind of made you decide to do that, or was there just like another specific reason?
What was that? And then I realized that I had a lot of kids that would end up being fans. Like last year on my tour, a kid recognized me in one of the shows or things like that. It's like, oh my God, that's the real, Power Glove. It's like, can I put it on? I was like, yeah, kid, you know what I mean? No problems. But it's things like that. And the cool thing is about rap, if I'm gonna rap about nerd stuff that people resonate with, I realize that they're my age, and since they're my age, they have kids as well. And nowadays it's really, really hard to shield your kids from whatever's outside now. So by making that kind of music and making dope music and be like, hey, check this out. This dude's rapping about Power Rangers. Like, really? And then they get excited about that. And then, that's where people buy projects and, albums and merch and things like that, because they see there's a positive image behind it. Yeah. And for nerd culture, that's what we need right now, is positivity, because we go through a lot, as nerds as it is. Yeah. Now that it's cool, now we're basically not uncool, but we're like, yeah. It's like the jocks of nerds came in and said, you know?
Yeah.
Something I really liked about Test Drive is like I was going through your discography, and so I was going through the Saturday morning cartoon series, and I was going through the I Know What You Mean series, and
Yeah,
like
feel man, yeah.
yeah. Test Drive, like I think Test Drive is really cool because it seems like there was a lot to Mark Cooper, and I was getting different Mark Coopers and like different works, and then Test Drive really felt like it kind of brought everything together.
Yeah.
Would that be like an accurate description?
Yep. That's definitely accurate. I mean, the final album for next year is going to be Gerald's Field, and that's going to end the series.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So, like, I got to the Land of Lost Players, and then now it's going to be an onslaught. It's going to be a lot of collaborations on that album.
Wow. Yes, I did see that. I saw you were working with Sex Ninja, and I saw you were working with everybody. Yeah.
Wow.
So what was like, tell us a little bit about the evolution going through these two different series and then kind of like landing there at Test Drive.
Well, the Saturday morning cartoons are just, cartoons that, I knew or grew up with or really liked the way they sound and things like that. That's why when you heard the series, they weren't so many staples. Like you didn't see the Flintstones and the Jetsons and all. So I didn't do that because I wanted to go for the cartoons a lot of people didn't know or they weren't familiar with. It was just funner to do.
Yeah.
The I Know How You Feel Man series, that's based off of, it's emotional driven kind of projects. Like the skit really came from Doug when, Doug got his bike stolen and then Skeeter's like, I know how you feel, man. But
yeah,
in the end, you really don't know how I feel. So that's why I made that I Know How You Feel, Man series of what I felt in that state, of type of beats and things like that. And that's how they change over time. And not only that, that's how the skill changes. Like I've been doing I Know How You Feel, Man for 6 years now. Like with beat tapes and things like that. And then that's something that I've been, doing to keep the pen sharp and do what I need to do with that kind of stuff.
So if we went on that Doug scene, so if I was like, oh, Mark, I know how you feel, but the point is that I really don't. Like, what would I be missing? What did I not understand?
Well, it's just it's a dedication to the feels. The album is like the projects are all feel tracks, so you get a emotional feeling or attachment with the tracks.
Yeah.
So nobody knows how I feel, so I'll play it for you.
Right.
And that's what it's for.
No, I noticed. I know you said you made some beat tapes. Were you under the same name, like Mark Cooper? Or?
Yeah, I was always Mark Cooper as the producer. Cool. Rain as a rapper back then, and then 2015 I changed to my real name.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And I noticed there was like a what was it? Like someone that was producing for you, Game Boy.
No, Game Boy Jones never produced for me.
I'm sorry.
We've done tracks before, like we did Bruce Wayne, and then Dragon Ball Z or Cypher.
Oh, cool. Yeah. What's your like relationship with Game Boy Jones?
Well, good friends. We're both nerds. Kind of rapping the same tone. I've done a couple tracks with him and things of that nature, and he's just overall great. Just that's like the other side of nerdcore, like the YouTube side, like the None Like Joshua's, the Daddy Fat Snaps, JT Music, Rustage, Jones. Like it's that particular side of it.
The Ned Flanders joint was dope. Like I really like. I've listened to nerdcore and like you have like a really like your flow and stuff just like stands out and like some of the concepts that you use like.
Yeah, it's important. That's the thing about when it comes to rap. I'm a technical rapper, but not technical to the point that I sound robotic. It's like I gotta know, what I mean? It's in the writing, it's in there. I'm just a stickler for it. See, the thing is, a lot of nerdcore stuff, like it's either about the character and they go straight through, or they go about the video game and rap about the video game. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to use those, but I wanted to relate it to real life. Yeah, like for example, one of the songs I got is called Star Power, and I'm talking about in a relationship with somebody. She gives me star power.
Oh yeah.
So I'm, doing things of that nature.
Yeah, it seems like you have like a rapper's concept of like an almost like an outside concept of like what nerdcore is, and you're using like metaphors to rap and tell a story instead of like I'm this character.
Right, because nerds love stories.
Yeah, so that's what was. Yeah, exactly. Like I noticed like the outside extra effort instead of just like Goku fought Cell and then what, it's like it's more like, you're just dropping like bars, but you're using like some really dope references and you're telling your own story in comparison.
Right, and I know what I'm talking about, and that's what makes it even better.
Yeah, exactly. So.
It seems like we prolong the things we wanna know. It feels like there's some things we have to do alone. I'm looking at the sky god, looking for the sky god, oh Lord. I'm looking at the sky god, looking for the sky god.
Where I begin, as I approach the suggestion bin, trying to understand the box that Major put me in. It's super crazy, got it all figured out, and the cost you set to pay is not the right amount, but I still make it count. There's no time for the sob stories, or the shoulda, coulda, wouldas when I'm past 40. Those cats bore me like a yard that's on the string, so I made the Gerald's field, and I thought it could change everything. Not what I expected, another scheme that Major had projected. See, the land of lost players is the place with permanent visitors, trapping nerds in the game, soon turn into prisoners. So he made a committee, pillage around the city, hide any piece of nerd culture that would glamour the gritty, persuade the power and witty. These kind of people exist, rebels against the law, so he cease and desist. They ain't the only issue. You would think nerds would stand together and become official. Now segregated like perforated toilet tissue. How you expect to build when the foundation's brittle? Let it fiddle, permanent marks is very little, and it's a shame. Reminds me of Timmy Turner wishing everyone to be the same. To that comparison, we know and it concludes you looking exactly the same will never change a person's attitude. I'm Jody Sweeter to the comments that are very rude. Even in a full house, I'm feeling that I gotta do. I'm at an altitude where it's hard to come down. Drink the higher grounds, I really hope you understand now. I don't trust where people's motives come from, and joining just anyone can really truly change the outcome. In that case, I'm player one with the power glove. Just need one with the other hand so I can really spread the love.
It seems like we prolong the things we wanna know. It feels like there's some things we have to do alone. I'm looking at the sky god, looking for the sky god, oh Lord. I'm looking at the sky god, looking for the sky god.
Who is it out there calling my name? Who is that? Look, I'm trying to sleep, shorty. All you little nerds out there is working my last nerves.
Oh, sorry. My name is Player One from Detroit. I'm trapped in a game and I was told of the legend of the left-handed power glove.
Left-handed power glove? Boy, what you know about that?
Hey, Sabrina and Fluff the Phantom Focus brought me out here today to not only get out of the game, but to also give Major what he truly deserves, a time out.
Let me log into your glove. Oh, good goodness. I see what you've been through.
You can?
Well, of course, Pumpkin. I'm the Sky God. So the prophecy is true. A player with the original power glove. You must be player one, huh? If not, Sabrina and Prime would have definitely not sent you here. Sure wouldn't have. So yes, I am the holder of the glove, and I will now present this to you.
Wow, thank you. The left-handed power glove. So when I have both gloves, what do I do to activate them?
Wouldn't be much of a game if I told you that, right? Good luck. The livelihood of nerds everywhere depends on it. The Sky God has spoken. Sky God.
10. Cherished.
I wanted to kind of, I kind of wanted to get into a general conversation with nerdcore. I've had fun recently during this quarantine because, you know, when I thought of nerdcore before quarantine, where I like kind of was off Twitter and I really only knew about Mega Ran, Samus, MC Chris, and MC Lars. And I almost feel bad for those tip of the iceberg acts because like they are married to the genre name. And I feel like they don't get to explore outside of that. They're like trapped. And it's not their fault.
For better or worse.
Yeah. I kind of want something like we try and do with our group is like we're chiptunes, so we use the Game Boy, but we try and explore like, you know, we try and explore rap. We try and explore like different routes, indie or like the Boston scene and stuff like that. So I guess like my introductory question to this like discussion would be like, do you feel trapped in nerdcore, or are you able to kind of like divest yourself from that a little bit and explore other things too?
No, I don't feel I'm trapped in nerdcore. The only reason why I say that is because I make sure that the quality of music I make could be heard for anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Like being trapped in the nerdcore, it's like it's almost in the same situation of, you know, like battle rap, for example. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who could be very lyrical and very creative and things like that, but can you make a song is the main question that, you know, that rises up when it comes to nerdcore. It's like, you could do a really dope Goku, Vegeta, or, you know, any kind of cartoon character. You could rap about them all the time. But if I tell you to write a song, could you do it?
Right.
And that's what draws the line between, you know, just regular nerdcore stuff and then going on to the next spot.
True.
So that's why, you know, like Rand and Samus and Chris and all them, they're not necessarily trapped because they still do all the different types of music as well outside of that as well.
Right.
They're just known for it because, you know, there were, you know, there's still heavyweights in it.
Right.
But when you look at their catalog and you start to listen, you see they do have nerd references, but they're in the graduated form of, now I have music that's relatable, but I also have my nerd references as well.
Yeah.
So it's like literally being yourself, but being an artist at the same time.
Yeah. No, you're right. And they're amazing. And if you go into their catalog, you see there's so much more. But like from the spectator's view, it's just like, oh, they're that nerdcore. They're like, they just have that one association with them. One like interesting Twitter take I saw from somebody named Alina, and Mega Ran actually had to respond to this because it was like a really popular Twitter hot take, was like nerdcore is just like easily digestible rap, or it's just rap for white people, or it's just like, do you kind of ever get that rhetoric, and what do you think, like how do you reflect on that?
It's actually it's interesting because I do see that as in like they would just say like, oh, you just do nerdcore because you couldn't succeed in the mainstream market and things like that. I mean, it's a term that's like I guess the best example you can give it is like the Revenge of the Nerds analogy, the jocks and the nerds. Okay, there are always going to be situations that if you're not a jock, you're this. If you're not this, you're that. And that's just something we've just been dealing with forever. And the thing is about it is like, you know, they see nerds that like hip hop, and hip hop is expression at the end of the day. And sometimes people will feel like, oh yeah, we're going to make this nerdcore because now it's just for rappers like us or whatever. And then other rappers are in the mainstream. They're like, oh, they're not rapping about money. They ain't rapping about none of this stuff's out here in the world. They rapping about Star Wars and Star Trek. Oh, they're rapping like that because they know they can't succeed in this, and they just want to have their little consolation prize party or things of that nature. And there's people who look at it like that. But sooner or later, if you realize it, the most lyrical rappers that you see in mainstream are nerds.
Oh yeah.
Because there are nerds for words.
Right.
Or, you know, the ones that collect all the Jordans ever made. They're shoe nerds.
Yeah.
Or individuals who sit there and they play video games all day, whatever, Grand Theft Auto, etc. They're video game nerds. So it's gotten to the point that anybody in whatever main passion or focus could be a nerd. So once you get that understanding or things like that, it doesn't matter at that point. Because there's always going to be somebody that'll be like, hey, I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, and I like the way you did this song because I understood what you said. So that's just the best way of, just kind of looking at it. Look at it as in, like, look, everybody's a nerd for something. If not, they don't have a passion in something. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
The best way to answer that question. It's not saying, oh, that's just nothing but such and such. Well, if you research, there's more than that.
Yeah.
And you don't want those kind of fans anyway if they're just going to be like, oh, that's just such and such. And then they'll be upset because they'll be like, wow, there's artists like this in this. I didn't know that. And then now they're just like, wow, I just wasted time. So,
yeah, I love what you said. I've like kind of explored the word geek and nerd like for a decade now. And I still remember, it's just how you said it. I just remember this one meme. It was like, religious people are just nerds. They have this saint, this saint, like, this storyline, that storyline. And they just all know that it's like, it might as well be like a Harry Potter nerd who knows every character, so, yeah.
Yeah, and look at, what's going on in mainstream rap now too, like rappers like Lil Uzi, like he has a Scott Pilgrim-esque mixtape, and he's making songs called Sasuke, like dropping.
See what I mean? It's just,
and
gotten to.
He was on the Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
I think the lines are getting a little more blurred, and it's almost like it's like chiptune. It's like, what's really chiptune? What's really nerdcore?
Yeah.
It's almost like just a group of people who just like kind of have, they like, it's more like they don't care more about what's mainstream, and they just care about like listening to raps that they have of nostalgia things that some of the traditional mainstreamists would consider like a taboo.
Yep, and the internet made it that way. So the internet, it gives you the power to listen to whoever you want to listen to.
It's like the Trebek thing, right?
Yeah, the Trebek. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
From what I understood, we just kind of said there really is no line between nerdcore and hip hop. But if I was to like really like pinpoint you, and I really had to force you to answer, like, what would you say? Where is the line between hip hop and nerdcore?
It's tough because it's content driven.
Right.
So I guess this would be the example here. So in hip hop, I mean, anything is hip hop at the end of the day because of the expression in rap, the beats, the rhythm, that whole setup. But nerdcore would be a subgenre to hip hop. So it would be like, just like how nerdcore has subgenres, as in horrorcore, scorecore, ottacore, chiptune actually considered that. Parody rap is also considered something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we're doing that, we're thinking about, Weird Al Yankovic was probably like the godfather of it all.
Right.
Like before there was Front of Loud and all those individuals who really, if we're really talking about that.
Yeah.
But the thin line is like, I believe it's just the way you express it. And that could be able to, kind of put you all like, all right, you're more like this or you're more like that. Because at the end of the day, if you look up on Spotify, there is no subgenre choice for nerdcore. I've heard they use ottacore, but that has nothing to, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not necessarily it, but they also consider it as hip hop. We all put it in as hip hop. So it's just like, nerdcore is a form of hip hop at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I can't really say it's a thin line. I would say it's the depth of your content. So a lot of nerdcore has concept albums or concept driven based content. And that's what makes nerdcore. But if it's like, hip hop and then you see people say, yo, I'm Super Saiyan like Goku and it has nothing to do with that or whatever, then that's just regular hip hop. It's got a couple of pop culture references that people recognize and things like that. But if I go deep and then just be like, my sword's deeper than Ryu Kenshin and, if you go like that and then literally speaking about the actual anime after that, then that would be nerdcore. It's basically just concept.
Right.
If it's a concept album that's got something that's like a heavy nerdy narrative or something like that, that's where that would come in.
Do you think there's like a scenario where there's like a hip hop artist who has the content but would not want to be identified with as nerdcore?
Oh, you mean like a Logic or
Yeah.
Lupe? Yeah, there's a lot of them. Childish Gambino is one.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
he has a song with MC Chris, and a lot of people don't know that either.
Oh, Childish Gambino? Wow. We opened for MC Chris. We're one step away from Childish Gambino.
Yeah, but I think it was like 2008 or something. Yeah.
No way, I did not know that.
They probably just
Because remember, he came out with that song "Freaks and Geeks."
Yeah.
Word.
Oh wow. So why do you think why do you think they would not want to be associated with nerdcore?
Probably the same thing a lot of people are thinking. They don't want to be put into a box and be considered that. And then the market is all like, well, I don't know if you could be able to be with the masses. This is content driven, and then they basically just put you down this different path.
Yeah.
Did you have any like influences like maybe people might not know about in nerdcore?
To be honest, there's a few of them that I look up to. You know what I mean? Of course, the Rushmore Nerdcore, which is Rand, Lars, Frontalot, and Schaefer the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
But I like the way that they stick to what they want to do. And I think probably the biggest inspiration for me is when I saw the documentary Nerdcore Rising.
Yeah.
And Frontalot says, why do you do this? Why did you choose to do this? He says, because I'm a nerd and I like to rap. And I want to rap about nerdy things. And he went on tour with no expectation of anybody even messing with the things that he's doing. Like, think about 2005, 2006, when it's the G-Unit era, and then you just got to be really aggressive rappers.
Right.
Whether from the Midwest or from the West Coast or from the South. And, you just thinking like, hey, I'm just in New York, and I wanted to, I've been a fan of rap, and I wanted to rap. And then that's where, MC Lars is same concept, same story, similar. And same thing for Schaefer. Then Rand came out. I was inspired by the fact that they wanted to do that music because they wanted to do that music, and not because they would know it'd be cool 15 years later.
Right.
Yeah, shout out to all those OGs,
Yeah.
Rand, Schaefer, Frontalot, Lars.
Schaefer's interesting too. I feel like even Schaefer takes it like a step further because he's got that look, he's got that personality.
Oh yeah, they make it a whole character. Why not?
Yeah. And
that's very smart. Because that way your cult following will recognize what you do. And that's why when I rap, I put on my Nintendo Power Glove.
Right.
Because my stuff has got an old school feel. It's not like I just, like MC Lars got the, Legend of Zelda chain. Mega Ran carries the Buster cannon from Mega Man.
Yeah.
Samus has the, her cannon as well. It's just something that could make you feel like you're a character and an artist as well.
Yeah.
And then other people will be like, wow, she got one of those. That's so cool. That's so neat. And that's the thing is you'll always remember them for that.
Right.
True. You see them again, or you see the show, you can tell all your friends and be like, hey, man, I listen to this rapper that raps about Mega Man. Like, you have a friend that's a huge fan. And they'll be like, yeah, he just raps about Mega. Really? That's awesome. then they go and listen to it, and it's dope. And that could be all ages.
That's actually, I'm glad you said that. That's something I wanted to ask you was that I got to see you on Sunday on the Geek Beat Radio stream. And like something that I loved about your performance was like the drama, the character, the power glove. Tell us a little bit about a Mark Cooper performance and like if there is, I know you're you, but is there like a Mark Cooper character? My
Mark Cooper character will obviously be Player One.
Yeah.
So the way I had that is, it's like I'm literally stuck in a game called Nerdcore. Right. So I'm on Nerdcore shows, and then I have like particular intro set up where I'm actually entering in the game. So I make the show as in like you're in the game with me, and you'll be able to enjoy things and things of that nature. And I want to make my performances comfortable enough that even the nerdiest, shyest kid could be out there, put his hands up, and be hype and be happy of who he is. Yeah. And I like to make nerd content so it could be like, look, man, maybe you're not the cool kid in school, whatever, but that's cool because there's a lot of us who weren't either.
Right.
And it makes them feel more of a self-esteem ever. Because at the end of the day, we're all weird. And normally the weird people end up running the world regardless. So you might as well give them the confidence to be like, look, you're different, and that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to think about it when you do performance.
I wanted to be able to give you an opportunity to talk about whatever you wanted to talk about. And also, if you could tell people where to find you.
Okay. Well, first you can find me at It's Mark Cooper. And so you can go to itsmarkcooper.com. That includes the ITS part. You can type that in. That's all social platforms, all social media and everything like that. Mark Cooper on all stream platforms, obviously. Well, I would just say really just check out Test Drive. I do got another project. It's called Ranger Rap. So I rapped about all the Power Rangers because Power Ranger Day is tomorrow, which will be the 28th of August.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been getting all those things together. I got some new projects coming on the way. Can't really disclose those just yet, but there'll be some really cool projects coming out. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Okay, I got one last question for you then. So something that's really cool about you is that you are signed, like you do work with a label.
Yeah.
And so how did, nerdcore, chiptune, these might be difficult things to sell to labels who are, at the end of the day, they're trying to make money. So they might not see the monetization value and everything. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with your label and how that goes. Yeah.
Well, the cool thing about it under, on Titan Records, the funny thing about it is that the guy that's the CEO is a nerd also.
Yeah.
So, but he's always done, hard boom bap hip hop and things of that nature. He's been doing that for a long time. So when he saw me and saw I was doing something different, he's like, you know what? This is really, really different. And there's not a lot of people who are, even try to do this. I believe you're probably one of the only ones in Detroit that really do it. And he looked at me because he had, his kids, and his kids like 5 and 8, I believe. Hopefully I'm not wrong. And they look like they enjoy the music too. And he's like, what's crazy is that I can play your music in the car with my kids and not have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
And then that's what he realized that's a selling point.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants it when they rap, they always like, I don't give a F, and then try to do a whole bunch of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, then they got to figure out a way to make a clean version out of what they did. It's just a lot of hassle. So when like a radio station asks me for tracks or things like that, and they'd be like, okay, so go ahead and send the clean version. It's already clean. Wait, what? Like the track doesn't have anything like that at all? Nope. No suggestive, negative, nothing? No. And they're like, okay, great. And then a lot of companies are more relieved with that. Like licensing companies and for publishing and things of that nature. They feel more open to work with somebody who's has, clean music, but also still keeps the, the high quality value up.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
I do as I can, man.
Like Frank Castle in the future said, even with the dead rising, we will still leave you left for dead. Hope you live and learn. A player get body bag, and I'll collect the tag to make sure that the kill's confirmed. Check for germs, cause the pen is killing. My best writing off the top. You can say I bring the pen to ceiling. Revenge of the nerds, no lamb to lamb. I bring the ink out of cash to the ones waiting for extravaganzas. In the end, I'm the boss like Tony Dancer. Step over to Ron Lou, they not a shock contesting the answer. Blows of cancer, supersonic the speed. Hustler kid for your chaos emerald needs. Actions over words, so you play charades. The cream of the crop so corny to the point that I am amazed. The cats think they robbing, not even dick grazing. They on the lodge with it, Harley Davidson. In the city, I feel best at home. Even the streets hotter than some squeezed cheese melting through the styrofoam. Super prone to perform my best abilities. Pay it off every month, like the rent and the utilities. They got gas, but it's all talk. And they will do you dirty like the grunters in the sidewalk. Telling tall tales from Jack and the Beanstalk. But when I'm in the zone, it ain't Rudy that will have the chalk. This is the anthem, just know I catch them all. Dead or alive, Ash Ketchum or Danny Phantom. Kablam 'em, Henry and June, bringing the breaking news and stickly in the nick in the afternoon. I double dare you, I permanently mark summers. Cold when I sit cozy in underground bunkers. While you slumber, I got prep time to put you under, so you know I'm the one. Please proceed to dial the number.
In the flesh is King Papa the Great. On purpose, this is not a mistake. All I do is speak truth. People gotta relate or dropping right at the bottom while I'm pocketing bank. Watching and think I'm next level. Mind-boggling strength, shack in the paint. Your rap is a prank. I'm black trafficking packages, checking the balances in the mud with the savages. My average is great. Mannequin faith can't be moved by nobody. Cannons erase fakers and fools with nobody. I'm the cream of the crop, about to move on your broccoli. Let the steam out your top, is cool, no probably. Checks are fine unless decline. Then y'all fall to pieces like Patsy Cline. Let's rewind. You could be the next in line to get your manhood beat up and left behind. Father.
Yeah. At this moment, the people are watching, the haters are clocking. I come with the territory. Rest in peace to those before me. My story is full of pain and glory. You got nothing for me. It ain't surprising my stock is rising, temperature soaring. These are the problems that you don't want. I set my crown down for 2 seconds. They tried to jump. I'm surrounded by goons, OGs, and young punks. The rule of my city is you get what you want. The only thing that ever mattered was new hits every month. Broke, but you can always drop 5 on the blunt. I graduated the illustrious class of Detroit rap. When the microphone was sacred, you act, don't even touch that. Tapped in these streets, but around your brain like I was touring. I'm pretty sure that every metaphor you got is boring. Been a force of nature ever since my first recording. I drop jewels, they go back and stand off in the corner.
Eight, never.